Okay, now we are about to start the English medium discussion. Welcome everyone, and we are going to go to the Samyutta Nikaya.
Asahi Swamin Wahanse.
Yes.
This is Dhammoshada from Nissarana Vanaya. We are ready to begin.
Yes.
Dear venerable friends, today, as Loko Swamin Wahanse has pointed out, we read from Samyutta Nikaya, Sagata Wagga Samyutta, Devata Samyutta, Jaravagga, and the sutta that we have chosen for today is Vattu Sutta. Vattu Sutta. It is translated by Bhikkhu Bodhi as support. Support. So I am joined here with Venerable Dhamma Kovida. I will read the Pali and English, and Venerable Dhamma Kovida will read the Sinhala. With the permission, Loko Swamin Wahanse, I will begin.
Yeah.
Namo
Yes, please.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Vattu Sutta. King suvattu manussanang, king suddha paramo sakha, king subhuta upajivanti, ye pattavissitati. Puttavattu manussanang, bharya cha paramo sakha, vutting bhutta upajivanti, ye pana patavissitati. Patavissitati. I will hand over to Venerable Dhamma Kovida to read the Sinhala translation.
මිනිසුන්ට කුමක් පිහිට වේද? මෙහි උතුම් යහළුවා කවරෙක්ද? පොළව ඇසුරු කළ යම් ප්‍රාණීහු වෙත්නම් වරහන් තුල සත්වයෝ කුමක් ඇසුරු කොට ජීවත් වෙද්ද? පුත්‍රයෝ මිනිසුන්ට පිහිට වෙත්. බිරියම උතුම් යහළුය. පොළව ඇසුරු කළ යම් ප්‍රාණීහු වෙත්නම් සත්වයෝ වැස්ස ඇසුරු කොට ජීවත් වෙත්.
And the English translation, name of the sutta is support.
So this is it is merely on the support, but not to become Nibbana. This is to get the establishing the worldly matters. So therefore, there is no even the Buddha is answering the question. It's the question is utterly worldly, based upon the children, the wife, and the rain. But when we are compared with the transcendental the part, this is not. This is setting some tools, setting some norms, rather than leading something. So therefore, we have to read the commentaries to see what is the hint to get rid of these things, get rid of vattu, get rid of the support, get rid of the base. But that is not the favorite subject of the commoners. They don't like it. They want to have a base. They want to have a datum like. Very good setting of norms according to the Devata, but nothing related to Nibbana. That is what I get at a glance.
Yes, certainly, Swamin Wahanse. And just to shed more light on the topic, I would like to go ahead with the English translation. I was just going to read that.
Yeah.
So the Devata says, what is the support of human beings? What is the best companion here? The creatures who dwell on the earth, by what do they sustain their life? And the Buddha responds, sons are the support for human beings, a wife the best companion. The creatures who dwell upon the earth sustain their life by rain. That is the end of the sutta. Before we proceed, Swamin Wahanse,
So for the monks, no wife,
Excuse me, Swaminathan. Before we proceed, I just wanted to make a comment about the Pali translation. What I have here as a translation is a bit different from what is there in the book that is containing the Sinhala and Pali translation. So I think the Sinhala translations also influence the Pali translations in terms of some nuance, some pronunciation. I think whoever is translating the Pali translation from the Pali from Sinhala, he's also adding a bit of Sinhala influence in the Pali words. That is my discovery in the last few times we have read the Pali and the Sinhala together. But that is just by the way, Swaminathan.
Yeah, that is, you are not Sinhalese. That is why. If you are a Sinhalese, that you will understand. That is why Sinhalese people are very proud, telling that we are the people who preserve the Buddhism. So we have authority to translate whatever the Buddha says. You are illiterate to the Buddhism. We are the people. But they are also misleading you. So I am born Buddhist, born Sinhala, only Venerable Dhammika taught me, your nation is such a proud one, but no one is expecting Nibbana in this very life. No, that is impossible, because they want to preserve, they want to establish what's the best friend, what's the best support, what's the best thing for the earth. So these things and the Nibbana is completely two different things. So therefore that when is the change can happen? In this sutta is not opening the doors. It is talking about the have children, have a wife, have good nice rain, and everything will be better. So that is something political. It's not economical. Not about the spirituality. So hardly you find that kind of a suttas hardly find that suttas only with that worldly affairs. If it is so, Buddha is asked a question is limited, then he is giving that kind of answer. Otherwise, he opened the arena to the all, but this day it is not. So therefore, we have to be contented with, because there are some other terminologies for the paramo and bhuta jivanti. That is, there are some other shades of meaning. Still it is not addressing to the transcendental part. So that is what we have to understand from the Vattu Sutta. So Vattu means that property. The English translate is support. But the properties, we to live, we have the basic needs, and Vattu means not the basics, little more than basics. That's what we call prosperity. Or to have prosperity, you have children, you must have wife, and you must have land with the soil, with the rain. But in the Dhaniya Gopala Sutta, Buddha is sarcastic about that. Those who have children crying and worrying about children. Those who have wives are crying and worrying because of the wives, marriage. And the other thing is, if you have land, people will come and taxing you from all the sides. Those who have no lands, no taxing. And that is how the difference. But this Vattu Sutta is not showing the side what the Buddha mentioned in the Gopala Sutta, Dhaniya Sutta. So these suttas are very rare to see, very rare to find in the Sutta Pitaka. Make a footnote sort of. No. This is a fix now. Paramo has some footnotes. Prutu Jivantis have a footnote. Bharyava have a footnote. Prutu Jivanti that. Page. No, you have to go up. Parama Samiti sounds. But anyway, it appears like no kind of a guide to the transcendental side. Only the මේ පොතේ යන්න බැරිද footnotes වලට පොතේ පිටුවේ අන්තිමට පල්ලෙහාට හරි යන්න පල්ලෙහාට පොතේ යන්න පල්ලෙහාට දැන් ගියා වගේ නෑනේ යන්නේ නෑ මට මේ
අවසරයි සයන්ස්
footnotes වලට යන්න බෑ
අවසරයි සයන්ස් මේකේ footnote නෑ සයන්ස් මේ පිටුවේ
නෑ නැත්නම් ඉලක්කම් දාලා තියෙන්නේ
ජරාවක්
එක කියන්නේ මේ නෑ මයිලක පොත තියෙනවා කාමරේ ඒක දාන වලද පොතේ පිටියේ තියෙනවා මයි කාමරේ පොත අරගෙන
සවනස් 66 වෙනි පිටුවේ තියෙනවා
ওই ටයිප් එකේ නෑ
එහෙමයි සයන්ස් පොතේ 66 වෙනි පිටුවේ තියෙනවා අන්තිමටම
නෑ මේ ඉලක්කම් ටිකක් දාලා තියෙන්නේ ඉලක්කම් ටිකක් මේක දාලා තියෙන්නේ සපරම ඒක යන්නේ නැහැ එතන ජීවන්ත කියන ෆුට්නෝට් එකක් තියෙනවා ඒක නෑ යන්නේ නැත්තේ
ටයිප් කරපු
ටයිපින් වල වෙන අදහසක්
එහෙමයි සයන්ස් ටයිපින් එකේ නැහැ මේ පොතේ තියෙනවා 66 වෙනි පිටුවේ අන්තිමටම
66 වෙනි පිටුවේ අන්තිමට යන්න කියලා තමයි මම කියන්නේ
පොතේ විතරයි තියෙන සයන්ස් ටයිප් කරපු එකේ නෑ එහෙම එකක්
ටයිප් වෙලා නෑ කොහොම හරි අපිට according to this sutta the transcendental piety is not mentioned so we have to think if you are living a household life if you are a farmer the land must have water and you must have wives and the children as the properties and that is what Buddha is appreciating. The monkeys are coming and playing with your robe. Our monkeys also the same.
Swaminathan says there's a note here, just a little bit of explanation about what a son and wife is, but it's not very profound. It's a bit obvious. So Bhikkhu Bodhi says,
yes.
He says, sons are the support of human beings because they care for their parents in old age, and a wife is the best companion because one can confide to her one's most personal secrets. That's what Bhikkhu Bodhi says.
So that is Bhikkhu Bodhi's interpretation. So that is how usually the commentators are giving the balancing part, but not here. According to the footnotes, parama, the paramo is another term, parama. Paramo and parama synonyms. Bhutu upajivanti, bhuta upajivanti, word is broken. And other bharya, bharyacha, bharyava, two words. Bharyava, bharyacha. Parama, paramo, the same. That is when you click the number, you get it that. So therefore, it won't give any further reference, and this is limited to the worldly section. Therefore, we can shift into the next one. Patama Janeti Sutta.
Hasai Swaminathan say, so the next sutta is translated as produces. This time, Venerable Dhammakovida will read both Pali and Sinhala, since I have not prepared the Pali, and then I will do the English.
Kinsu janeti purisang kinsu tassa vidhavati kinsu sansara mapadi kinsu tassa maha bayanti tanha janeti purisang chittamassa vidhavati satto sansara mapadi dukkhamassa maha bayanti කවරෙක්
පළවෙනි කියවන දේවතා කිංසු ජනේති පුරිසං කිංසු තස්ස විධාවති කියලා මේකේ තියෙනවා.
කිංසු ජනේති පුරිසං කිංසු තස්ස විධාවති කිංසු සංසාර මාපාදී කිංසු තස්ස මහබ්බයන්ති.
හරි.
තණ්හා
ජනේති පුරිසං
චිත්තමස්ස විධාවති සත්තෝ සංසාර මාපාදී දුක්ඛමස්ස මහබ්බයන්ති. කවරෙක් සත්වයා උපදවාද ඔහුගේ
translation
කවරෙක් සත්වයා උපදවාද ඔහුගේ කිමෙක් ඔබ මොබ දිවේද කවරෙක් සසරට පැමිණියේද කිමෙක් ඔහුට මහත් බිය වේද තෘෂ්ණාව සත්වයා උපදවයි ඔහුගේ සිත ඔබ මොබ දිවේ සත්වයා සසරට පැමිණේය දුක ඔහුට මහත් බියය.
And the English translation?
Right. English translation.
Yes, the Buddha, the Devata says, what is it that produces a person? What does he have that runs around? What enters upon samsara? What is his greatest fear? And the Buddha responds, it is craving that produces a person. His mind is what runs around. A being enters upon samsara. Suffering is his greatest fear.
That out of greatest fear, Buddha made the first truth, dukkha satya. We understand this as the truth. That becomes the beginning of the Four Noble Truths. That is other people, those who are not with the geared mind, they have a frightening thing for the dukkha. That frightening thing is called papa. Baya, papa, just the same. So people are utterly searching something in order to get rid of the beer. That's why they are inventing weapons. They are inventing fences. They are inventing powers in order to get rid of suffering. But suffering is nothing to get rid of. Suffering is something to understand. And that's the first truth. So that truth, no religious approach other than the Buddhism. They have the fear of suffering. Why the God is not talking about suffering? He says it's a wrath of the God, and you have to accept it. So after the tsunami, Bishop in the London, he says, if the God is the one creating the tsunami, and it's still people are believing God, I can't understand. Is such a person creating such a agony? And people see that they are his mighty, and still believing God. This is the belief. But the Buddha says, truth is truth. Understand the suffering as suffering. Then you will be enlightened, rather than have a fear. So whole world, whole knowledge, whole theories, whole libraries have the fear of suffering. So that's why people are searching. They are increasing suffering, nothing creating. Because they try to get it off. They want to have painkillers. They want to have the ammunition, amusing things. Rather than facing the suffering, they say accepting suffering is a kind of a defeat. Even the own children, even for the parents, no suffering. But suffering is because of your craving. You in a sense, the people crave suffering. That is what they call the ignorance. But if you crave the non-amount suffering, that is the truth. That is the patipada. That is your celibate life. But the people, without analyzing the suffering, they try to get rid of that. So ultimately they are again and again falling into suffering. That is what the physics, that's what the chemistry, that is what the biology, that's the weaponry, that's the war. Everything is because they wanted to have no fear. So therefore they have to kill others. So much of suffering. But accepting that truth, accepting the suffering as suffering, in Sinhala we have a saying, Pamini duk panirahai. Whatever the suffering coming along your way is something sweet in taste. Don't go in search of it. Don't go try to avoid it. Both of them are bitter. Let it happen. It rains. So whom do we complain? It rains. Plant grows. Clouds are moving. Sun is moving. That is the phenomenology. You are with the phenomena. That is what the mindfulness is. So therefore it's a kind of a radical reflection about the suffering. People think reflection upon suffering is suffering. Buddha says no, it's the end of suffering. Reflection upon the suffering is not a popular subject, it's asceticism, and that leads to the answer, but that does not indicate end of suffering. You become adopt into. you become hardened into, familiarized into the suffering. So, but you can't pass it to your second generation. No. You can't give it to your parents because they have fear of suffering. So therefore they are searching methods because they want to have comfort. So it says that if you are, it's a classical statement. I can't remember the quotation. If you can't put up with the day-to-day unsatisfactoriness, you will end up with hysteric level of trauma. Now to put up with the day-to-day unsatisfactoriness. Then there's nothing called trauma because there's no accumulation. But the people try to get rid of as much as suffering, ultimately become a psychological wound, became a cancerous. You become mentally upset. And the body will create so much of carcinogenic cells. Put up with.
Swamin Wahanse, when you mentioned that we are just observing phenomena, I think that sounds, it's very, very Zen Buddhism. You said that the sun is shining, the rain is falling. You might also add that the flowers are blooming or the water is just flowing in the stream. In the very same way, we are just letting phenomena happen. That is a way they put it very bluntly in Zen Buddhism. But all the same, it rings true, whatever tradition of Buddhism, because even when a yogi sits and starts observing the in-breath and the out-breath, sooner or later he comes to see that the breathing itself, even if you do not observe the in-breath and the out-breath, it just happens on its own. So the yogi comes to understand that this phenomena, it's not being controlled by anyone. Just like the way the sun is shining or the rain is falling, even this breath, it's just happening. Or the blood is just coursing through the veins. There is no individual behind it, no one controlling it. So the yogi slowly comes to see that all these things are just impersonal. They are anatta. No one is controlling anything. It's just natural phenomena happening on its own.
Yeah, that is the Buddha wanted to share with others, but you can't make a religion out of that. Religion means some basic, some foundation, some kind of a strata. But the Buddhism, sometimes appear like a, religion, sometimes appear like a irreligious philosophy. So that is why people find difficult to be a Buddhist for a long time. After a while they feel enough. There's nothing to hold, nothing to base upon. Unless otherwise you practice mindfulness, because mindfulness is appreciating it. Yeah, it is baseless. It is no kind of a organization, no formula, nothing, no datum. It's a volatile, but very difficult, very costly. Psychologically, it's very costly. So that is why people wanted to have at least Buddha with the Devas, Kataragama, Vishnu, all the kind of thing, because they must have something. That Bodhi tree, and they make them in order to have kind of holding, something to hold upon. That is what you call religion. So all the religions are, Karl Marx mentioned as ganja, cannabina, narcotics. Not the narcotics, still stronger. People need something for ammunition, amusing. But the Buddhism as such is not giving nothing. Breath is happening as well as you can do it. As far as you are with the breath, you are no one. You are nowhere. You are nothing. So these are the things they're very difficult for a present-day Buddhist to pronounce openly. So they make a foundation. They make a substrata. So that is what you call the religion. And that is, ultimately they are get caught up into their own prepared substrata. And that is what happens in Theravada Buddhism, Mahayana. Different countries have their own culture. But when you are traveling there, you can see they are all believe in the Buddha, but they have their own smell, their own culture. So therefore, lucky we have at least this kind of a situation so that not to get caught up in the gloss over by pharmaceutical or the, how do you call it, makeup, Rupalavanya. Everywhere it is there. So the first and foremost thing Venerable Dhammika taught me, the Sri Lankans are so proud, thinking they are the people who protect the Dhamma. But they don't know what is the mindfulness is. Not a single person at that time. So then what a joke. So he put me also into the same. I thought it's okay because I don't know mindfulness. I have never heard. But when I learning, I found whatever the foolishness you have, next moment you can be mindful. Whatever the thought, whatever the thousands of breaths you are neglected, next moment you can be awakened to the breath. That's the beauty. And no one needs to tell you you are disqualified or you are inferior. No, you are much superior. You can be mindful. So this is what I try to share as much as possible with all the others. But it's a mind game. It's a meditation. Yes, mindfulness is yes, but it's a ditti. It's a view. So therefore, this sutta is talking both transcendental and worldly things. So therefore, when compared to the last sutta, it never opened the doors to the transcendental part. Only the worldly side. That's also wise idea, but it is falling into the worldly category. But this one, we can take it to the discussion and we can go ahead if anyone is having ideas or contribution.
Yes, Minwanse, I don't mean to disparage the devas. The devas are beings of very high virtues, but I think sometimes when a deva approached the Buddha, he would just say something just to pacify the deva, just to make him happy or make her happy. Like in the previous sutta, Buddha says something very direct, something very worldly, because some devas are worldly minded. So I think sometimes the Buddha just said it just to make the deva happy.
And that is what the village monks are doing to the devotees. They want to make them happy. Ultimately, the monk whole life become a joker. He's just to satisfy the newcomers and they attract more people. So therefore, they are keeping the shop open for 24 hours for the customers. How to satisfy the custom. And ultimately, at the end, they are the most suffering. They are the most desperate people to die. They are participating in the funeral ceremonies and danas and all the kind of things, but they are not ready to die. They appear like everlasting people. So this is what happened in the monasteries also now. People are more towards worldly things and very successful. Lukamru used to say, on that game, the monks have all the skill for the satisfaction of the lay people. But for the Nibbana, except Nibbana, everything is available at his shop. Nibbana that is vacuum. We never thought about that. Because people never remind it. People want to have the happy life. More children, more wives, and more rains, that kind of thing. So they have a lot of formulas, lot of pinkama kind of thing, but no Nibbana. So sometimes mindfulness is blame mindfulness without Nibbana, Nibbana without mindfulness. Present-day mindfulness is not without Nibbana. It is just to say, make the worldly life happy. And there's one book from one tradition, how to have a happy life. And then Bhikkhu Bodhi made comments. This is life. It is not to make life happy, just to understand the suffering. But some religious people are making the lay life happy. That is, ultimately they are happier to be, because people are giving a lot of contribution. But at the end, to the death, there's nothing specifically for the religious leaders. They have a very, very miserable death. One person became to Buddhism after the Christianity, was a devoted one. Ultimately, he became a Ananda College principal, and his old father, elderly person, came and told that, son, what you have done is grave mistake, because you are a very devoted Christian or Catholic under my precepts, and you are a good boy. Now you see, now you have come to the best Buddhist school, principal, and you are not teaching, you are talking about the Buddhism. Therefore, you are destined to hell. Then he asked the Catholic, are you destined to the heaven? Then the father was so upset, he went off. He also destined to hell, because he is progressing wrong ideas, Miccha Ditti. And he says, because you change your religion, you are destined to hell. Then he says, I don't mind, I am happy. Are you happy to go to the hell? Are you sure to have a destination as the heaven? Then he says, just shaking head, he went off. He gave a public talk in thousands. This is how religious masters. So therefore, even they are making the lay life happy, and they cannot be for 100% happiness. But the thing is, their time is wasted. To understand the truth, the Bhaya means suffering, name for the defilement, and it is because of suffering. And if you keep the face on the Maha, you see the deer? Huh? Yeah, they are. Yeah. Hariyaane kilo me patrna ya. Muek kana api ekai meka. There's a deer coming to the garden, playing with monkeys, and it is much familiar. Huh? Monkeys and monks. Monks are very secluded, very reserved. They are not going to play, but the deers and monkeys are playing. Okay, any more discussion, any more ideas, because we have a few minutes more.
I have an idea, Bhante.
Yeah.
Nothing. Everyone is looking for an answer for suffering, but people have
It's like a disease. You can treat symptoms, so you can diagnose why the suffering is happening. Diagnosis is the MD's job. Giving medicine is the MBBS doctor's job. That is the therapy. And the diagnosis, why the suffering? Without doing, if you are treating the symptoms, that's what today's the pharmaceutical industry. They are not worried about, because it is created by God. God is done intelligent design, so nothing to worry. Only thing is just get rid of suffering. But the root cause of suffering is craving, and they are not talking about that. So that is what the truth and cause for truth. Suffering and the cause for suffering is a new approach the Buddha gave for noble truths. And that is exactly applicable to the medical science. Medical science also, they study the disease by symptoms and try to understand the root of suffering, root of disease. And that is done by Koch's postulation. Koch's postulation is you get rid of the germ and isolate it and grow it and see what are the stages from the light beginning to the growing, and while growing, what are the other complications that can happen. So Koch's postulation, you have to 3 times you have to apply the same germ and to see whether their opening symptoms are the same. So therefore, till they diagnose the original germ, they never prescribe any medicine. All the other medicines are for the symptoms, not to the disease. So that is, if they attribute to the COVID, they say it is a lab leak theory. COVID germ is created in a lab and then spread. And Anthony Fauci, he was the instrumental and he ultimately accepted it and he resigned. Then there was lot of legal cases, but Joe Biden pardoned him. And therefore, no case. But there is a website calling Real Anthony Fauci. They have prepared 3 films so far. What a great suffering he created to the human, and he was the authority of the drugs recommendation for the America. I mean, they are the people monitoring people who must suffer, who must not. But they themselves know it is more greater reasons behind rather than these pharmaceutical industries. But their dirty game and their smell is very popular now, very famous now. Because they can't face with the suffering. They are not adopting them. They are not hardening them. Instead, they go to the air-conditioned room and go for germless places and live in such a secure place at the cost of others' happiness. That's what happened in the first, the 1% of American rich people. They are not facing the suffering. But we farmers, being farmers in a country like Sri Lanka, they are living with how the Buddha prescribed it. And if you see the personal life of Jesus Christ, he was with people. He was not behind the altar. He was not in the stage. He was with the people. But now, no, he is a godly and he is the heavenly above sky. But that is not even the Buddha, even the Jesus, even all the religious masters, they are quite human. So after 4 stages, now we come to the present day religion. It is a complete camouflage. There is no truth. And it is gloss over with all the kind of cultural and other gloss over. But when we are reading the book directly, we can understand. We can go to the direct source, and with mindfulness, we can go to the direct touch of the present moment, and they are very, very similar. So therefore, it must go to the whole humankind, everyone. Don't let the other people to create heaven on the earth and exploit you. You have to be with day-to-day unsatisfactoriness. So therefore, there won't be any hysteric level of trauma. I think we are in Katukalia, we are suffering. We are facing with suffering. Day-to-day unsatisfactoriness. We are not escaping. So that is what we have to share with the rest of the world.
Avsarai Bante.
Yeah.
Bante, just to mention this. You are referring to, I think, Leadbeater. He was the first Ananda College principal.
No, not the beater. He's a lady. His name was very famous.
Okay. He was also a Leadbeater. He was the
no, lady Leadbeater. But he was not
he was also a priest.
Speaking. But this was very famous. I can't remember. But he met his father, and father accused him, telling that definitely you are destined to hell.
Okay.
He said, okay, you were the whole life father. Are you destined to heaven?
Okay.
He went off. I remember the name is coming and going, I can't remember. So it was a very famous talk,
Okay.
published in paper, and it is in the Nissarana. It's that, I can't remember the name.
And from this side,
Anyone
Bhante,
talking?
there are two people. Yeah, Bhante, the Chaya and Vimal Disanayaka indicated to talk to. I allowed to Chaya to stop first.
One? Yeah. Yeah.
Avasarai Bhante, just to make an observation about the first sutta called support, I was just thinking that to me it's really unusual for the Buddha to just talk about worldly matters and stop at that. So I was just thinking whether there might have been a second verse where he takes this up to the next level, the transcendental level, and whether we have lost it during years and years of transmission, or whether the sutta called support and the next one should be taken together. I wonder what you thought about that. Thank you, Bhante.
So that is why we recognize it is only limited to the worldly affairs. And usually in the sutta, Buddha is supporting the worldly affairs and slowly give a turning point and how to interpret and go into the transcendental part. But this is not there. Maybe the second part of the sutta lost, or the key terms we find the different nuances may have some other shades of meaning, transcendental meaning. So that is we can't expect from the commentators. Therefore, we feel something is completely dedicated to the worldly affairs. Usually, very rare that kind of thing in the Sutta Pitaka. Earlier, the Ratana Sutta, Mangala Sutta, and Karnamita Sutta recognized as the worldly things. But they are very deeply discussing about the transcendental towards the end of the sutta. Now no more they are limited to the worldly things. So this is also a comment. We have to go to the commentarial exegesis and see how it expansion, but it is not available in the Samyutta Nikaya.
Yes, Bhante.
No conclusion.
Yes, Bhante. Thank you very much. Much merit to you.
Yeah.
Vimal, you can unmute now.
Yeah, Avasarai Bhante, actually today, Sutta was Vattu Sutta. I tried to find the discussion, actually it is a worldly matters about that. But I found that Vattu Nanatva Jnanam, specifying the Patisammida Magga in the Kuddaka Nikaya, it is specified the transcendental part actually. I will read, I don't have that what you say, the English translation, in singular translation, I will read bit. Kisi heing ආධ්‍යාත්ම ධර්මයේ පිරිසිද දැනීමෙහි ප්‍රඥාව වස්තු නානාත්ව යෙහි නානා වස්තුන්හි ඥානය. So I can bridge this, we talk about the worldly vattu, sort of wife, children, sort of things. When we deal with the external, that is we can consider as the external, how we recognize our internal vattu jnanat jnanam, means the it describes in how eye and how ear and sort of body and sensation feelings grab and the suffering and then release from that. That is what I think it is discussion and specified in the Patisammida Magga Vattu Nanatva Jnana sort of things. That is what I want to add in this time. Much merit.
No, there are 4 Patisammida. That means the book of discrimination. Atta Dhamma Nirutti Patibhan. Atta means Vattu. Atta means Artha Shastraya. That means economics. So that is completely on the දානශාලා ඇතුළට යනවා රිලව් කවුරක්වත් නැහැ. අත්ථ ධම්ම නිරුත්ති පටිභාන. It's a very big book. So therefore you must have fairly a good and expertise in the Attha. Attha means that Attha Shastra, how to earn something. Without that skill you can't run a meditative life. So therefore Attha is a part and parcel, but it is not ending by itself. It's leading slowly into the transcendental part, and that is why Attha become a Dhamma. Attha Dhamma Nirutti Patibhana. Nirutti is the language, how to use that knowledge of Attha, convert into Dhamma. And then Patibhana means how can we do it very efficiently. Patibhana is knowledge about Attha Dhamma Nirutti. So this is the communication. These are the people running the world today. They know how to make money, and they know this. And others are talking very superficial, but they can go deep into. So this is 4 discriminative knowledges. That is called epistemology. That is called knowledge about the knowledge, or the grammar about the knowledge. The Buddha is the founder, and that happened to the other religious people copied it after 600 years. And that is how they put grammar into their religion according to the Buddhism. By the time Mahayana Buddhism also appeared, and then Hinduism and the Christianity and the Muslims, they started, and that is being written in a book in Buddhist Publication Society, Brahmanism, Buddhism and Hinduism by Joshi. He says, earlier it was Brahmanism, after the putting into the grammar, it became Hinduism. Hinduism is the nickname put by Muslims. That is how epistemology, that is how Jnana Vibhaga, Jnana Prasthana came into being. In Sri Lanka, Venerable Hempitaka the Jnanasiya is an expert. He was studying this, and he wrote so many of books while he was in the prison.
Swamin Wansay, from Nissarana Vanaya, there are no more contributions. Asai Swamin Wansay, this looks like a good point to wrap up the discussion today.
Bante, I think Loku Swamin Wansay disconnected. Maybe some problem with the communication.
Okay, in that case, we'll wait for just 1 minute to see if he will rejoin.
Yes, Bante.
All right, dear venerables and friends, we have not been able to reach Loku Swamin Wansay in Katukeliawa, so I think it would be prudent to wrap up the session anyways. For discussing the Dhamma, listening to the Dhamma and sharing the Dhamma today, we would like to extend the merits accrued to our teachers, our parents, our relatives, all beings, large or small, gross or subtle, far or near, seen and unseen. May all devas protect the Dhamma exposition and the Buddha Sasana for a long time, and may the seeds of Dhamma that we have received grow, producing path, fruition, and Nibbana. I invite everyone to join in the recitation of the traditional Pali verses for the sharing of metta.